Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This video we're taking a look at the 5.56 Tactical Strike 2 compensator. So there's like 9 billion muzzle devices out there. Pretty much the standard, the one you see on most guns, is the A2 bird cage, bird flash hider. It's the one my first experience. In fact, for a long time, it's all I used. I like flash hiders because they hide flash. It's in the name. Cool thing about them is that they're not as visible at night, dusk, dark situations as traditionally comps and brakes are. Bad thing about them is they do not do a great job of mitigating that felt recoil and that muzzle rise. Now, you can overcome that with a little bit, upper body weight and just technique, but at the end of the day, devices such as comps and brakes are always going to provide you with a greater advantage of managing felt recoil and muzzle rise. The trade-off, of course, is increased muzzle flash, and your friends won't like you very much if you shoot near or around them. If they're to your left or your right on the line, depending on the muzzle device you're using, you're going to beat them up a little bit. In team settings, law enforcement, military, you don't see a lot of comps and brakes because of that reason. And it's also not the greatest idea, depending on the device, to run it indoors because that concussive blast off of walls and things like that can beat you up pretty bad. Now, that being said, I do use brakes. I do use comps. I'm no stranger to either. I default to suppressed just because a suppressor makes the gun quieter. It keeps me from having to wear ear pro. And it makes it easier to shoot indoors, and of course muzzle flash is completely mitigated and recoil is managed to a degree as well. So when I picked up the 5.56 Tactical Strike 2, main thing I'm looking for in a review of something like this is, does it do what it says it does? Does it mitigate recoil, both felt recoil and muzzle rise? And does it help, at least partially, even though that's not a design, is the muzzle flash going to be bad? Because if a muzzle flash is awful, then it's probably something I'm personally not going to use, and I personally wouldn't recommend, and I won't allow in some of my classes, just because there are some devices out there and some weapon systems out there that create horrible muzzle blasts as a byproduct of trying to control recoil. Now, the 5.56 223 round doesn't generate a massive amount of felt recoil or muzzle rise, but if you want to shoot fast or you need to shoot fast, then there are devices such as muzzle brakes and comps that can help you with that. So with the Strike 2, the two things I was mainly looking at was how was the muzzle flash and did it help mitigate recoil like it was supposed to. First up, muzzle flash. I'll show you the day results right now. Fired 3 different kinds of ammo. 55 grain Wolf, 55 grain PMC, and 62 grain green tip, because that's a very common round. Fired 3 rounds during the day, and as you're seeing right now, there's virtually no daytime muzzle flash. And of course, daytime muzzle flash isn't a huge deal. But again, there are some guns and some muzzle devices out there that do a great job of mitigating recoil, but even their muzzle flash during the day is kind of abusive. Now this is where muzzle brakes and compensators are usually deal breakers for me, is muzzle flash. I already talked about it, talking about it again. I'm going to show it to you right now. I fired again, same 3 ammos, 55 grain, Wolf 55 grain PMC, 62 grain green tip. And as you can see, across the 3 different ammo types, the muzzle flash is very tame. It's not significant at all. And in fact, shooting it, it did not obscure my ability to look down my optic, and it did not affect my ability to operate my weapon controls. And that may be a funny thing to say, but there's some muzzle flash out there that's so atrocious that it actually travels back down the rail of the weapon system, and that's definitely not something you want in a gun that you want to keep flat, but you also want to be able to use in daytime, dusk, and nighttime situations. The Strike 2 performs by venting gas out the sides and the top, which isn't so different from a lot of other devices out there. What I do appreciate about it, though, is there's a really good balance between top and side venting on this device. As you can see, you still get concussive side blasts, so if you are close to a wall or something like that, you get close enough to a window on an older car, something that's been in the sun for 10, 15 years, this device could potentially shatter that window. So be careful with that unless it's something that's okay to break. And then you've got the 4-prong front end, which is mostly aesthetic. But if you wanted to use it for breaking windows or punching holes and things like that, or roasting roasting marshmallows if you're into that, it's an option. It's something you could do. It does give you an impact or a standoff device, which is kind of cool. Installation was easy. You just kind of wrench it on. It doesn't have a traditional wrench flat, so your armor's wrench is not going to work. You're going to have to use an actual size wrench, but they include instructions in the package. And its price point, it's actually really reasonably priced. Now, as far as recoil management goes, and I'll show you the slow motion right now, how I feel about the recoil on it, just my felt perception, is there is a slight negative effect. And what I mean negative, I mean it does seem to push the barrel slightly lower than the plane which I'm shooting on and which round was fired. Some people have experienced this with certain models of battle comps, and I know I have personally too. It's not significant. In fact, I like it. I like the gun to dip just a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. So when it came to recoil, being able to manage the recoil with this device, even shooting super fast, obviously no problems. The gun stays flat, and the concussive blast, when I handed it off and had someone else shoot it and I stood nearby, it was very manageable. I wouldn't say that you could use this in a very tight team environment, or you should default to it indoors, but if you want a flat shooting outdoor gun, this is a really good device at a really good price. I'm Aaron Cowell with Sage Dynamics. Muzzle device accordingly, I guess. Yeah, that'll work. Sure.